Hey guys, it's Miss LaFave, and today I'm going to be showing you a short video on how to stop using remainders and use decimals instead. Okay, so to start off, I just want to go through some of the vocabulary for long division, but we're going to start out with just a normal division problem. So whenever we're reading a division problem, we start with the first number, and then we say divided by. So we'll have whatever A could be any number, divided by B, that could be any number, equals C, which could be any number. Okay, but C is always the answer to whatever A divided by B is. Now, a common issue that I hear with students at our school is we say B divided by A when we mean A divided by B. So understanding why that's so important with division will help us to be using the correct vocabulary. So first off, the first number of any division problem is called the dividend. And if you take a look at the word end there, I'll explain in a minute why that helps me remember that this first number is called the dividend. Then we have our divided by symbol. Then our next letter, or number would be here. That's called our divisor. And the OR, which kind of sounds like ER, that helps me remember that this is called the divisor, and I'll go over that in a second as well. And then a division problem always has an answer, and it's called our quotient. Okay, so that's something we just need to remember, and that's probably the one you're most likely going to remember. But I just want to go through these ones as well too. So we have the dividend. So the word end helps me because it's on the end. Okay, when I have let's use actual numbers. If I have 14 divided by 7 equals 2. Okay, my 14 is on the end here. We know it equals my quotient. So on the other end is 14. That's my dividend. It's what starts off my multiplication problem. This would be like saying I have 14 objects. So there's 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 14 objects, and when I say divided by 7, so this is our divisor, and then the ER, I use a word like worker, does the working. Another word like painter, so it has that ER. The painter is the one who paints, and it could be with anything. The player is the one who plays. So the divisor is the one who divides. So when we have 14, this is our number of objects, and we're dividing it by 7, 7 being our divisor. The 7's the one doing the dividing. So it's like we're splitting this into 7 pieces. So if I split it up into 7 pieces, so here's 1 piece, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you see there's 2 in each piece now. And that's where my quotient 2 comes in. So it's important that we don't write this as, so if I told you 14 divided by 7, but you wrote this, that does not equal 2. Okay? What it actually equals is 1/2. Okay? Because this is like saying my dividend was 7, that means I have 7 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm splitting it up into 14 pieces. So if I wanted to do that, I would have to do, here's 1 piece, 2 piece, 3 piece, 4 piece, 5 piece, 6 piece, 7 piece, 8 piece, 9 piece, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I split up into 14 pieces, and each piece is a half of a circle. Okay, so it's definitely different. So we need to be aware of the vocabulary we're using and how we're saying certain things. So now that we know that, we can go into long division. Our dividend is typically the bigger number, but when we start talking about fractions, like in that last one, it didn't have to be. But so if we're trying to figure out how many times B goes into A, how many times B divides into A, my A is going to go on the inside of my long division symbol. And then the B will go on the outside, and then C, my quotient, will be on top. Okay, so now let's use actual numbers. Okay, 1 second. So if my dividend is going to be 984, and I'm going to divide that by the divisor 48, I want to figure out what my quotient is. Okay, so when I'm setting this up, I will have 984 inside. My dividend always goes inside, and then my divisor, it's a 2-digit divisor, will go on the outside. Okay, so this is mixing in the 2-digit divisor that we did on Monday, and it's going to start where instead of using a remainder, we're going to use a decimal. Okay, so first what we have to do is we're looking at 48, and we want to figure out how many times it's going to send a 9. Since this is 2-digit, we actually want to look at the first 2 digits of our dividend and ask ourselves how many times does 48 go into 98. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to estimate these numbers to make them a little easier to deal with. So 48 is really close to 50, and 98 is really close to 100, which work really well because I want to know how many times, it's like I want to know how many times 50 goes into 100, which is 2 times. So I'm going to guess that 48 goes into 98 2 times as well. So I'll write a 2 there, and then I'm going to go ahead and multiply 2 times 48. Okay, so 2 times 8 is 16. So I'll write my 6 here and carry my 1. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. Okay, then I'm going to just get rid of this so I don't confuse myself later. So I have 98 over 96, which 96 is smaller than 98, so I'm good. So I'm going to subtract, and as long as I don't get a number that's equal to 48 or bigger than 48, then 2 is the right guess. 98 minus 96 is 2, which is way smaller than 48, so 2 is the perfect guess. So then I'm going to bring down my 4, and now I have 48 going into 24. Now 48 is bigger than 24, so I'm actually going to, I can't forget this step, because even though I can't do it, I need to write down 0, because 0 times 48 is 0, and then I have 24 left over. So nothing changed, but I need to make sure I put that 0 there because 48 goes into 24 0 times. So I have to put that 0 there. Now, if I was using a remainder, my answer would be 20 remainder 24. Okay, but we are way past the point of remainders, and so we're going to use a decimal instead. So what I'm going to do is I have a little riddle. It's really stupid, but it helps to remember what you do when you don't want a remainder anymore and you want to use decimals instead. So when you want a remainder no mo, so kind of like more, but I'm going to say mo for the riddle. So when you want a remainder no mo, put a decimal above and below. Okay, so remainder no mo, decimal above and below. So above and below. So you see they're right on top of each other, above and below. And then, so that was step 1, when you want a remainder no mo. Step 2, put a decimal above and below. Step 3, add a 0. Okay, so there's where we add our 0. It did nothing to 984, but now we have a number that we can bring down. So I have 240. Okay, so then what I might want to do is round again. So 48, super close to 50, which is an easy number to count by. And then 240. Okay, now some of you might say, well, 240 is already rounded. I don't need to round it anymore. But there might be something easier that 50 can go into, like 250. So I'm actually going to round that up to 250 because 250 is a really easy number to try and multiply to when I'm dealing with a 50. So I want to go from 50 to 250. And in order to do that, I can count by 50s. So I have 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, and that was it, 5 times. So my estimate is going to be 5. Okay? If you're unsure about 5, you could maybe try 4, or you could go up to 6, and then you have to figure out whatever happens. You either need to go up or down, or maybe you guessed right. I'm going to stick with 5. So I'm going to write my 5 here, and then I need to figure out what 5 times 48 is. So to do that, I'm going to do 5 times 8, which is 40, and then I'm going to try and tilt this up. Let me move it back so you guys can see. Yep. Okay, so 5 times 8 is 40. I'm going to write the 0 here, carry the 4. 5 times 4 is 20, plus the 4 is 24. So I guessed it exactly right. So when I subtract, I get 0, and so I'm done. So the quotient to the division problem 984 divided by 48 is 20.5, or some people would say 20 and 5/10. And that's it.